So this is Ostmahorn, and as fate would have it, there turns out to be a boat. Quite an old boat. As you can see, that's about all there is. I've started at the end. Our flight from the harbour was unmolested, unnoticed. Only the first ghastly evidences of dawn were mingling with the strangled moonlight. We had to pass under the very quarter of the Blitz. That's the warship, the German warship. So Davies said, for of course he alone was on deck till we reached the open sea. Day was breaking then. It was dead low water, and far away to the south, between dun swathes of sand, I thought I saw, but probably it was only a fancy, two black-stranded specks. Rail awash and deck streaming, we took the outer swell and clawed close-hauled under the lee of Juist. Westward, hurrying westward. Up the Ems on the flood and to Dutch Delfzijl, I urged. No, thought Davies, it was too near Germany. And there was a tidal cut through from Boosa Tief. Better to dodge in behind Rossum Island, which I think is somewhere around there. So on we pressed past Memmert, over the Wiester Reef, and the Corinne's buried millions, across the two broad and yeasty mouths of the Ems, till Rotterdam, a wee lonesome wafer of an islet, the first of the Dutch archipelago, was close on the weather bow. We must get in behind that, said Davies. Then we shall be safe. I think I know the way, but get the next chart and then take a rest, old chap. Clara and I can manage. That's the love interest. I crawled along the slippery sloping planks and went below. Where are we? Cried Dolman. Yes, Dolman, Phil. He's called Dolman, the baddie, starting up from the lee sofa, where he seemed to have been lying in a sort of trance. A book, his own book, slipped from his knees, and I saw the frontispiece lying on the floor in a pool of oil. For the stove had gone adrift, and the saloon was in a wretched state of squalor and litter. Off Rotterdam, I said, and knelt up to find the chart. There was a look in his eyes that I suppose I ought to have understood, but I can scarcely blame myself for that accumulated strain, not only of the last 3 days and nights, but the whole arduous month of my cruise with Davies, was beginning to tell on me, now that safety and success were at hand. I handed up the chart through the companion, and then crept into the reeling forecastle and lay down on the spare sailbags with the thunder and thump of the seas around and above me. I must quote Davies for the event that happened now, for by the time I had responded to the alarm and climbed up through the forehatch, the whole tragedy was over and done with. Dolman came up the companion, he says, soon after you went down. He held on by the runner and stared to windward at Rotterdam, as though he knew the place quite well. And then he came towards us, moving so unsteadily that I gave Clara the tiller and went to help him. I tried to make him go down again, but he wouldn't, and came aft. Give me the helm, he said, half to himself. Sea's too bad outside, there's a short-cut here. Thanks, I said, I know this one. I don't think I meant to be sarcastic. He said nothing and settled himself on the counter behind us, safe enough with his feet against the lee rail, and then, to my astonishment, began to talk over my shoulder, jolly sensibly about the course, pointing out a buoy which was wrong on the chart, as I knew, and telling me it was wrong, and so on. Well, we came to the bar of the Schild, and had to turn south for that twisty bit of beating between Rotterdam and Bosch Flat. Clara was at the jib sheet. I had the chart and the tiller. Well, you know how absent I get like that. And there was a bobble of sea, and we both had heaps to do, and well, I happened to look round and he was gone. He hadn't spoken for a minute or two, but I believe the last thing I heard him say, I was hardly attending at the time, was something about a short-cut again. He must have slipped over quietly. He had an ulster and big boots on. We cruised for a time, but we never found him. And that evening, after threading the maze of shoals between the Dutch mainland and islands, we anchored off the little hamlet of Ostamahorn, gave the yacht in charge of some astonished fishermen, and thence by road and rail, hurrying still, gained Harlingen, and took passage on a steamer to London. And from that point, our personal history is of no concern to the outside world, and here, therefore, I bring this narrative to an end.